Welcome, everybody, to the cool down lap. Maybe the 2 hours was a little bit too much, so let's give you a smaller segment. Here's Trevor Earhart talking to Travis Dart for that of the Full Send Racing series.
This is Trevor Earhart with Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the podcast, and with me is Travis Dart, one of the owners of Full Send Racing series. Travis, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right.
This is going to be our second attempt at doing this. Audio issues the first time, and then time to get it all put back together. But I know that we talked the last time was before Charlotte, and I believe was it before Watkins Glen? Before y'all
I imagine it was, because I think it was about 2 weeks. It maybe was even a week prior to that.
No,
I think it was prior to Watkins Glen, if I remember correctly. I think it was.
So
I don't think it was a week prior to that.
Well, then let's just do a quick little recap of Watkins Glen. Fairly uneventful race, typical road course race. The road course guys kind of up to the front, everybody else just trying to survive to get to the end of it. And then Charlotte for you guys compared to last season, this season went really smooth. The late caution there, you set on pole for the race. Just what happened on your end there at Charlotte?
I mean, kind of just typical where I'm just not as good as the other guys, as like saving tires and such. I have gotten a million times better, it felt like, over this course of this year, and I think it has to do with a lot more official racing and learning how to be a better driver, so I think that's carried over to the league. But I'm still very happy with where I finished dirt with Charlotte. I'm surprised with how well I did, and I was very confident going into qual. I told my team, I was just like, I'm gonna be in the front row. Like, there might be somebody who runs a faster time, but I was like, I'm very confident on my my hot lap, as far as just hitting my lines and being consistent with the times I was getting. So that was awesome to get the pole there. I think that's my first of the season. But yeah, I mean, I think just other drivers just being better with saving tires and such. That's really what it came down to. And I've never really been good at Charlotte, so I was very happy with where I finished and how I ran.
You put up a fight there for the first 10 or so laps of that run. Every run we got, you kind of moved your way up there. It seemed like at about that 13-ish, 10 to 13 lap range, depending on how hard you went, it's kind of where the fall off started for the guys that could save versus the guys who just went.
Yeah, I think I made it to around lap in between 15 and 20. That's when I think I started to fall off a little bit. And during the first stage, I didn't fall off too bad. I think at the end of the first stage, I was only 2 seconds behind the leader, so it wasn't that far off. But then during the second stage, I think I had a little bit more of a fall off during that stage, which was a little bit more frustrating. But overall, good race, good racing by everybody. It sucks that late caution came out, because that screwed over Andrew Medlin and getting his first win of the season, so that really sucked for him. And then it sucked that there was another caution because Bustler got tight, and then that screwed over more other people's races, and that didn't even bring out a caution. So, but overall, I mean, only having 2 incidents during that race was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible race to call. I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row for Medlin that the last kind of there at the end, he gets kind of screwed over by a caution. It happened to him at Pocono, and then the contact that he made with I believe it was Kyle Carpenter, out of 3, that allowed Nick Holland to get the win. And then this week at Charlotte, I mean, he was just so quick, and that late race caution just kind of gets it stolen away from him. But so you are the owner, one of the main admins of Full Send. I mean, so walk us through a typical day in the life of a league admin. What things do you have to go through to keep things running?
I don't know. It just depends on the week. If it's a good race, kind of like Charlotte, where we didn't have anything to look over, it's the easiest job ever. But when, I think it was Pocono, we sat in the chat for a little bit because there was some discussion about that. A couple of wrecks that happened, so that kind of sucked. But typical day, I mean, off season's kind of big, just making sure we get everything prepared as far as logos and everything for the upcoming season. Sponsors are pretty consistent right now, so it's pretty much just renewing them, messaging them, making sure that they're happy with us, and then kind of just making sure that we're good for the following season. Typical day to day though, nothing. I kind of run the social media, so that's kind of been a new thing I've taken on, and that takes up a majority of my time as far as the day to day, and try to build that and try to create a bigger fan base for Full Send Racing Series.
Well, I gotta say, y'all are doing a really good job of it. And speaking of reviewing things after the race, because we noticed it during the broadcast and went back and got the replay of it when Campbell ran into the back of Woods under caution. I mean, what was that conversation like in the admin channel, or was it just kind of one of those we'll chalk this up as a just a lack of attention type of thing?
That's what it kind of came down to. I mean, Woods hasn't ever been. Woods is that typical driver. As far as now, Woods is a typical driver that I love to have in the league. He doesn't cause problems, and then if something does happen to him, he kind of chalks it up as like it happens, because I think it was Kansas where he hit the apron and caused a caution, but it's like that was like his first wreck of the season. So it's like you can't blame him. Like stuff's gonna happen. Like everybody's gonna have problems. And it's gonna be racing incidents. You hope it's racing incidents. That's right. The big thing. But Ken apologized like 50 times, and I know Ken very well, and he definitely takes responsibility for his actions. So Woods didn't message me at all saying anything, so we kind of just chalked it up as it was, because you could, like, Ken just completely brain farted. That's really what it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I joke in our manager chat. I jokingly said, like, should we give Ken a 5-race suspension? I think he did it on purpose, just joking with them and stuff. But yeah, it was crazy. I didn't know what had happened, because that ended up messing me up later in the race, because I didn't know Ken. I saw Woods was damaged. Didn't know really Ken was damaged. I didn't know what had happened during the race, and then they were side by side, and I decided to hop behind Ken during the race to try to build momentum. And that ended up ruining me, because Ken wasn't as fast. Like, so, but yeah, we kind of just chalked it. Like, we hope it doesn't happen again. Yeah, Ken kind of described what had happened, and he said, yeah, it was just total brain fart on their part.
It's easy to do. I think we've all in the sim been either have done that or been close to doing that, when you're trying to talk to teammates, change things for pit stops, and then all of a sudden there's the field and you've got to instantly stop or run over somebody. So
I've done it in officials a couple of times where I've taken out like 1 or 2 people, and it's just like, oh god, it's like just total. Yeah,
that's the worst. But yeah, I just when I saw it, because we were bringing up the replay of the wreck that caused the caution, and I can't remember what the actual wreck was that brought out.
It was Holland hitting the wall and then charting in front of Call.
That's right, and then gets spun to the inside. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam was watching that, getting ready to commentate that, and we're bringing up the replay, and I just see that, and I was like, oh, they're wrecking under caution.
Yeah,
I was like, oh no. But all in all, I mean, the last 3 races, I mean, Watkins Glen was uneventful, nothing happened. Pocono, I mean, Pocono was Pocono. I mean, it was a drawn out long race, and then all of a sudden at the end, chaos with the late race caution and the tire strategy, and Charlotte kind of was the same story. We got that long green flag run y'all had, and then a late race caution and more pit strategy. I mean, that's kind of been the MO of y'all's leagues. It tends to go green for a long time because of just how hard and clean everybody races, but then you get that late race caution occasionally that causes a lot of fun and havoc, to say the least. But Wilkesboro's next week on Tuesday. So what are your thoughts on Wilkesboro coming up?
So I did some practice already for it. It seems like a really fun track, and it seems like we shouldn't have any problems, but at the same time, it just depends on how everybody wants to drive. Like, it kind of gives me a feel of a Richmond or an Iowa, where there's a primary line that you want to run, but there are multiple grooves that you can definitely pass on. So it shouldn't, like, you shouldn't have to bump people out of the way or, like, have to, like, quote unquote, like, wreck people to get positions or move people to get positions. So it should be a fun race. I drive around it by myself, at least. I was having a great time trying to figure out what lines or how to angle, what I would do if somebody was in front of me and I wanted to cross them or whatever. So it should be a really fun race and hopefully a very clean race, but that just depends on everybody else as well, how if they're going to send it. So it just all depends on when we get into the race. We're going to find out how everybody's going to race, but it should be really fun. I think it may be one of the better races of the season as far as just competition goes.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how that one goes, but you got 5 races left to the playoffs. You got Wilkesboro, Michigan, Darlington, Dover, and Talladega, which is always fun to see Talladega as the cutoff race to get into the playoffs. But the playoff rounds, I mean, Indianapolis road course, Atlanta, and then the cutoff race. I know Vegas is the first one, obviously, but the next 3 after that, you have the road course at Indy, which not a lot of people drive around.
Mm-hmm.
You have the super speedway in Atlanta, which in and of itself is interesting because of how, especially the trucks run around there. And then Martinsville. I mean, those three races to get into the championship 4, it could be very exciting from our end. But as a admin guy picking those tracks, I mean, what was the process in picking especially those last 3?
So, no matter what, I think we are going to go with Martinsville as we always like to do a short track to get. I think last season we did Richmond. So I feel like for a majority of our seasons to finish off the race before the championship race will most likely either be Bristol, Richmond, or Martinsville. Those will be the 3 tracks that we kind of rotate for our before the championship race. Those races. We kind of switched it up for playoffs. So we usually do 2 road courses during the regular season. We kind of wanted to try something different where we did 1 road course during the regular season and threw 1 in during the playoffs just to kind of make it different. You have to be an all-around driver to be able to race for a championship. So it's going to be very interesting on the cut line as far as when we come to Indy Road Course and who's going to advance, who's clear by enough points to. So it's just going to be very interesting. Atlanta. So we also decided to throw in a super speedway, and with it being the trucks, Atlanta is pretty much a super speedway. You hold it wide open. You're rarely lifting. So we kind of did that. I don't know. We'll kind of see how this season goes and how people like it if we're going to continue like that. But I think for upcoming seasons, we're definitely going to continue having either a road course or a super speedway in the playoffs. But we kind of just went all out this season. It kind of scares me because I feel like a lot of playoff drivers are going to get screwed over, at least during either the road, not so much the road course, because road course racing are pretty clean for the most part, but Atlanta, round of 8, Atlanta and Martinsville, people are probably going to get very heated if something happens to them.
Oh yeah, I mean those 2 being in the same round, you go from kind of the luck of the draw at a super speedway to the mercy of everybody else at Martinsville that's trying to make it to that final 4. So that one's the one I've got circled. Talladega to get into the playoffs, and then Martinsville to make it to the championship 4 are the 2 races I have circled because I think we're going to see a lot of big moves and a lot of entertainment out of those 2 races. Hopefully it doesn't make your job later that night a whole lot harder than it needs to.
Yeah, usually when it comes to playoff time, the racing gets a lot cleaner because people don't want to screw over the playoff drivers. So that's, I guess, the one possible good thing about that is that we just will have very clean racing, hopefully, and let the playoff drivers fight it out.
I appreciate you, Travis, taking your time out of your day to come re-record this with me. And good luck to you at Wilkesboro on Tuesday, and good luck for the rest of the regular season. And if you make it into the playoffs, I don't have the points in front of me, so I don't know where you're at exactly.
Yeah, I'm a little bit out, but I feel confident if I could get a little run going here that I could possibly sneak my way in, maybe even get a win somewhere in the next 5 races. Darlington's got to be a wash for me, but the other 4 races, I think I may have a shot.
Well, hey, your brother won at Auto Club, so Michigan's right around the corner. It's the sister track, and you had speed at Auto Club. You just got RKO'd out of nowhere.
Yeah. Me and Ken were kind of talking about that. He was just like, Michigan may be your track because I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna practice a lot at Michigan to try to just figure out how to save tires a little bit. I know it's gonna be a very draft dependent track, making sure you're within the group at all times. So that's gonna be very interesting. But I'm definitely gonna do a lot of practice at Michigan, and Dover. I'll be doing a lot of practice because I do pretty well there if I put in the practice. I just need to make sure I put in the practice to be competitive.
Yep. So, well, good luck in those. We look forward to calling them. Can't wait for especially Wilkesboro and for the rest of the season. But again, appreciate you for your time, and we will hopefully get to be talking to you in the booth at some point here in the next couple of weeks.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed Trevor Earhart and Travis Dart's conversation of the Full Send Racing Series, one of 5 different leagues Freaky Fast Broadcasting covers. And if you'd like to listen to the 4 other leagues that Freaky Fast got to have conversations with, go listen to the Cool Down Lap Episode 2, out now on YouTube and Spotify. Just look up Freaky Fast Broadcasting. That's Freaky with 2 E's. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.